So welcome to the Google Hangout that Connor and Kate are stepping up and showing up on the internet waves to say hi to you and to play with some magical tools and some fun ways of being that we've been playing around and practicing with, and we're excited to share with you. So this is Connor, and Connor is hanging out in Colorado, but across town from me. I'm hanging out in Boulder. He's hanging out in Denver, and we're just here to show up for you. So we're going to play with some abundance tonight. We're going to play with some possibly brand new ways that you've never been willing to consider looking at life and how you want to create it. So you want to say hi, Connor?
What's up, everybody?
Hi.
Yeah, so I'm down in Denver with, just if you guys have been paying attention to the name of this Google Hangout at all, then it changed names like 5 times because both Kate and I are like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. I don't know what I want to do. I want to do this. Let's just have fun. Okay, so let's just sit here and have fun. So what can we do would be to have as more fun than we ever thought possible tonight, huh?
Yeah, totally. So we're going to play with some tools from this amazing body of work called Access Consciousness. So lots of different ways and tons of different possibilities inside Access Consciousness. So we're going to play with a couple, and we're just going to see what comes up. Because one of the fun things about Access Consciousness is changing your mind and choosing what's here right now is all part of the game. So if you're the kind of person that wants to get it right and wants us to get it right, see how much fun you might be willing to have tonight. So give us a lead in.
I'm glad you mentioned we're doing the Access Consciousness tools because I got to start remembering to say that I'm an Access Conscious Facilitator. So you can certified Access Consciousness Facilitator. So you can come to me or Kate for any of your problems or anything that you want to change in your life that no matter what it is. You want to change the fact that your hair isn't growing as much as you would like it to. We can help you with that. So maybe it's a quick introduction of what Access Consciousness is. Maybe I like this idea. How about what is Access Consciousness to you, Kate?
Wow. Okay, I'm just going to be fun with it. Okay, Access Consciousness to me is a whole awesome body of work that was created from the future. It was really a body of work that is pulled through with tons of tools and ways to play and clear energy so that we can start creating these amazing lives that are laid out there for us. So hands-on energy work, ways of reframing how you look at life, tons of energy shift tools. It's going to actually shift you from the root, baby. So everything that keeps growing and regrowing in your life that you don't want anymore, it's possible using the tools of Access Consciousness to choose a whole new garden of your life. What does it mean to you, Connor?
Access Consciousness really is. It's just like you're saying. It's a set of tools. I came across Access Consciousness 6 years almost now. It was like 2009, 5 years ago. So mostly just because my sister started doing it, and she kind of was like, "Woo, love this shit, love doing it, having a blast." So she ran my bars, started running my bars a whole bunch. I took her bars class. I took her foundation level 1. And that was right after college, so I ran off to like go make money and be really successful in all these things. And I went off and moved out to Boston and did that for a few years. And then I wouldn't say necessarily that I reached a point where I was like, this isn't what I thought it was. It was more like, okay, I've done that. What next? And after sort of traveling the world, not really the world, I guess, to Nepal and hiking in Thailand and seeing all sorts of different places in New Zealand and all over the place, I got back to the United States. And actually, I should say, while I was in New Zealand, my mom and my sister were at an Access Consciousness 7-day event, which is one coming up real soon in Costa Rica in about 2 weeks. And I saw them at that event, and I was like, I want to do one of those. And I'm not really sure. I think my sister even asked me, like, why do you want to do it? Or other people asked me, like, why do you want to do it? And I was like, I have no idea, but I just want to do that. Like, that's something I got to do. So the first second I had, I went to a level 2, 3, and not to say that a foundation level 1 isn't absolutely amazing. I just don't think at the time I was willing to receive it because I was far too into, like, I'm going to go get successful, like, whatever. I'll be worrying about, like, bettering myself later. Or not even that so much, but just, like I really liked the idea of being successful in this reality, maybe is what it was, and not really sure what I could say. But when I got back from traveling, I was like, I'm all about it. And I went to my first 2, 3, and it was just, I was like, whoa. I just scratched the surface of something amazing, and I still feel like I've only scratched the surface of something amazing. And it's really Access Consciousness, I guess. It's a set of tools to really create your own reality. So it's whatever you want it to be. So I think everybody probably has their own experiences, and any class, everyone really kind of comes out looking at it from an entirely different point of view, and it's just, you can't really explain it until you go to a class, right?
There you go. Well, now that you say that too, the Access Consciousness is so many things, but different ways that you can connect to it is a hands-on energy process class that's called bars. And then Connor talked about a class that comes after that called Foundation and Level 1, where you learn a whole nother set of tools and clearings and possibilities to create your reality. And then you can exponentialize that in Level 2 and 3, taught only by the founders. And then after that, there's so much more. Ways to be with your body, ways to be in 7-day events, ways to all kinds of stuff. So Connor and I are Access Consciousness Facilitators. We're a little wacky, as you can tell, and that's part of the fun of it all. You get to be whoever you be, and you get to be the contribution to consciousness that you came here to be. So we're going to be teaching a Foundation to Level 1 class, too, coming up next week in Boulder. So if you guys are curious, check it out. And let's start playing with some of the tools, and let's start playing with what we got here, Connor.
We've got a bars class that starts on October 8th, which is next week, right? Yeah, woo, not even a week from today. And then after that, we've got Foundation Level 1 for 2 days, Thursday and Friday. And then Level 1, sorry, on Saturday and Sunday. And yeah, I guess to me, one of the coolest things really is there's no real sugarcoating, and it's not like we're going to make you feel good or these tools are going to make you feel good. They do. There's no promises. There's no answers. It's just, here it is. This is how the reality works. This is how things function, and how can you be to make things work a little bit better for you.
And you don't even have to feel good if you don't want to. It's all your choice, right?
Right? You want to feel shitty, you go right ahead. That's that's your choice.
Totally. You can be shitty, you can be broke, you can be heartbroken, you can be all of it. It's no problem. Nobody wants to fix you.
Yeah.
Nobody. Totally. But we are going to probably give you a few possibilities that might, probably not though, probably wouldn't spark any possibilities from that place. I doubt it. I doubt it. Cool. Let's talk about money, because I know that nobody wants to create a more easeful reality with their money. I know that nobody out there is really interested in any more abundance or even curious about why they keep repeating the same crap over and over again. I'm not. Are you?
No. I mean, there are still some things that I still repeat, and I'll change them. It's like, it's even, as far as money's concerned, I guess we go into one thing, and it really kind of branches out into all areas of access, and you really start getting deep with how you look at what conclusions you've made on certain things and points of views you have about things. But a long time ago, I remember seeing money just like 6 $100 bills flapping in the wind on the ground, and I was like, this is just paper. But not to give it any insignificance now. That's just like long before I even got into Access. But it's that whole thing is what do you what are your ideas around money? What might be your points of views about money that keep you from either having more or keep you from spending so much? Or that was one of mine. I was really good at the second I got it, I got rid of it. So I didn't want to have it. At least not for a long time. That's changing. Yeah.
Yeah, so money with one way we can play with money with access consciousness is just to take a look at it as it's just energy. So but it's quantifiable more than most things that we can talk about around energy. So money's is a fun place that I wanted to talk about, or at least be in the energy of, because I know for me it was something like that. Like Connor's like wasn't willing to have it, but he can really fucking be real with himself because it's quantifiable. He watched it come in and he watched it go out. So I love that money lets us get really real with what we're creating, and it was a place for me I got to get really real around, like, wow, I'm not really willing to receive. I'm not really willing to receive here. So I got to ask some more questions around what my stories were money, and any kind of judgments that I had about money being something that wasn't as good as the rest of my conscious life or my parenting or all these different things that I was totally willing to create and generate and make tons of magic. So I got to look at how I was being really harsh on money. I mean, if money were like my friend, it would not hang out with me. That's how I was treating it. So I would like slam the door in its face, right? So I got to be real, which is cool. If I wanted to keep doing that, that's the thing that's fun about Access. There was no story that I had to be different or change that. But if I was going to keep doing it, I had to acknowledge that I was choosing it. That gets a little painful. That gets a little painful.
Yeah, yeah. When you actually start looking at like, well, that's also one of the biggest things I've discovered in Access is, now we're going a little deep, but a little deeper than I think maybe we meant to go in the first place. But looking at where you're judging yourself, because if you don't, like, there's this resistance to not look at where you might be doing something or having a point of view about money in this instance that doesn't necessarily work in your favor to like create more for yourself, but you're kind of afraid to look at it because you might be judging yourself for it. If you look at it, you go like, oh my god, I'm such a terrible person myself. Well, that's not a really good idea. I mean, how much judgment of yourself do you do that keeps you from actually looking at the things that you might be able to change so that you can change it to actually have a lot more ease?
Can you say that 10 times fast?
Nope. I don't even remember what I just said.
Awesome. I love it. And whatever you guys think that you had to like follow or understand or even get around that, you don't.
Yeah.
Honor is so magical. He can unwind that by just asking a question that sends you into a tailspin. Right? Because how much of our lives do we think we're creating from our minds, and how much do we think our minds can create our amazing life? And I mean, if you guys are all good and you've got the most magical life you ever wanted working with your mind, yes. I knew that I had worked with my mind and it wasn't really getting me what I wanted. So I figured at that point when I realized I wasn't receiving, that my 1,227,000 hours of thinking about it wasn't going to create anything for me.
I love that you say that about your mind, because it's reminding me of, like, it brought up a quote I read a long time ago, or some message about Jim Henson, and he talked about, he's like, I think I was really successful because I had no idea what I was doing. Well, he didn't even say I, he said we. He's like, we were really successful because none of us in Henson Muppets shows knew anything about Muppets or knew about kid shows or anything. So they were like just going from whatever, and whatever worked, and that's what works. And you're talking about your mind, and one of the things that Gary and Dane will talk about, if I remember correctly, mostly Dane talking about it, is like if you're functioning from your mind, it's you're actually functioning from the past. Like your mind can only remember and record events, and then anytime you try and create for the future with your mind, you're actually creating from the past, because the only thing your mind can do is just look back into the past and not have an awareness of the future. Now, if anybody's seeing that this just doesn't know Access Consciousness, I say Gary and Dane. Gary is the founder, and Dane is considered the co-creator of Access Consciousness, so you can Google them and do all that stuff. Apparently, the most Googled thing about Dane is that is he married or not? So I'm not going to give anybody the answer to that, so you guys can Google away.
Okay, so if you have happened to have been creating your money reality from your mind, and you're curious about, okay, great, I got it. It's not really creating exactly what I want, and I gotta figure something else out. Maybe I don't even have to figure it out, but give me something here. Give me something to work with, Connor.
With the mind thing?
Yeah, like I'm at the end. I'm at the end of my mind. I'm at the end of my thoughts. I've figured this out so many times. What else is possible now for me? Oh, did I just say it?
That you did. You totally did. You gave it up. You gave it up. So we first originally tried to do the two tools Google Hangout, and that didn't work because we were both driving through the mountains of Colorado, and then all of a sudden, like, all hell broke loose. But we ended up getting on the phones and had a couple listeners and stuff, and had a lot of people that wanted to see this, so that's why we're doing this. And what else is possible is exactly what you just said. So when you get to the end of your mind and your mind isn't working for you, you go, what next? Great question. What else is possible? Great question. You start asking questions, and if you actually look at your life, anybody watching this, you can probably look at your life right now and look at all the things that have shown up in your life and how they've come to fruition based on a question that you asked at some point in time. So Access is really acknowledging this power of the question. And we've all heard, the question lies in, the answer lies in the question, right? Well, I've recently been realizing I keep looking for the answer in the question, not for the answer, not just the answer in the question, but the question that is the answer to everything, which that's still looking for the answer. So good luck to me. But yeah, that's the first tool of the night. It is what else is possible. So what else is possible? It's like I was thinking earlier, if you're a basketball fan, then that's like the free throws of Access Consciousness. Is just
Oh boy.
happens. Free throws and layups. That's what we're talking about tonight, guys. We're getting you started with like the most basic shit here. You got to start with free throws and layups. So if you're more of a baseball player, it's throw the ball and catch the ball. So we're just starting on the basics here. And what else is possible, no matter how good your life is, no matter how bad your life is, and if you're like, dude, Connor, that's a judgment. It's good and bad. Well, wherever your life is at, say what else is possible, and something else can show up. And it's either something you like or it's something you don't. And then you say what else is possible again, and then something else shows up. And a lot of times it can be like cooler shit.
Well, to me, is where the universe gets to get creative, right? Because like Connor was saying before, like the mind really only can reach back into what it knows. So it's sort of like reaching back into your database, and that's it. But if you're curious about new information or new possibilities, then asking the universe and actually not trying to answer it. This isn't about what else is possible and then sending your mind to work. This is about literally being willing to let the question just float out into the air there. What else is possible? Like, you got this one, universe. This one's up to you. And I love using this one when you're like, when you consider as a rock and a hard place maybe in your life. Like for me, I hit a rock and a hard place when I had little kids and went through a divorce, and I loved staying home with my kids, and all of a sudden I had to be a full-time income woman. So I was like, you know what? I want to be with my kids full-time, and I want to create a full-time income. So what else is possible? Like, go to work, universe. And I created a whole reality that I didn't even think was possible. And what the universe came up with, amazing. So if you're interested in a reality that's like way bigger than anything you've ever seen before, or if you're not even that inspired or motivated by anybody creating a financial reality or a relationship or a body or a life, ask the universe what else is possible.
Yeah. And speaking about questions, since this is like my first successful Google Hangout on the air, I will say I think it looks like we've got one viewer. So if you are viewing and actively watching this, go ahead and ask some questions off to the side. I think there's like this, I don't really know how it works, I'm not gonna lie. I gotta like somehow troubleshoot this whole thing. But go ahead and ask questions. We got like a group chat, throw up a question. We're gonna not answer it. We'll give you some questions about it, or at least it gives us some more stuff to play with. And or there's 2 viewers, or however many viewers there is. Yeah, I don't know how that works. So go right ahead if you're watching, and I'll even maybe say that again, just to remind you, like give you a little window if you feel like you need a window. Just go ahead, throw it out there, because there's probably, I can actually feel it right now. You got a little something boiling. You're not really ready to ask it. So one of the things we like to say in Access is there's no such thing as a stupid question, only stupid people that don't ask questions. Gotcha. Ha! Bring it. So let's continue with our first tool, right? We got what else is possible. So where has what else is possible worked for you, Kate?
Well, I just gave it one. That worked for me really well.
Oh yeah.
That model. The first place that I was most willing to ask the question, what else is possible, if I'm truthful, is places that I considered a total conundrum. That was the very first place, which is why I think that sometimes people think that you have to go really far down in life in order to actually have a change. It's not that you have to go really far down. It's just that for some people, that's the first place where you're really willing to ask a question. So everywhere else, I was figuring out and trying to run the show according to what I knew.
Yeah.
When you got to these tough spots, I started asking what else is possible. So I guess for me that's really where I got the gift of the tool, and then my light bulb went off and said, well, what else would be possible if I was willing to ask what else is possible at all kinds of circumstances. And then I started practicing asking what else is possible when something really amazing happened. So
I'm glad you bring that up, because just like you're saying, like even before I even started getting into Access a whole lot, it was like I was doing yoga and meditating just to like keep me from, and just always like either going on runs, and I worked out all the time, and that's kind of what kept me mentally like strong, or whatever you want to call it. And I was always just kind of like, actually, I shouldn't say always, but when I finally got to a point where I was like, I always do these hills, I'm sure everybody does, where it's like, yeah, you're doing awesome, like I'm working out, and I'm like eating well, and I'm feeling great, and then you're doing so good, then you stop doing that, and then all of a sudden you go down, and then you do it again when you hit the bottom, and then you go back up, and then you do it again, and you just keep going like that. And all of a sudden one day I was like, WTF, what would it take to just like actually meditate and do these things that made me feel great, like as opposed to like, turn me around, the things that like you only did that would like turn you around when things weren't going so well. How about you do those when things are going well? I was kind of like, what would happen then? And it's actually kind of like, if you're working out and your body looks good, and you work out more, it kind of gets better, which is interesting, right? As opposed to being like, oh, now it dropped again. So we like get to this point where we're happy and we're content, and then we just like let it fall back down. Whereas if you just like keep doing the things, you keep shooting free throws and shooting layups, you're gonna win the game.
Who's a sports fan out there?
That's what I'm going for. At least I like always, I played a lot of sports or watched a lot of sports, and I'm always just looking at like how those can apply to life, and really Access takes those applications and goes scramble of your brain and then makes them work. As opposed to like trying to apply it in a place, it goes just do it. And then you're like, yeah, it's hard, except for not really, only if you make it so.
Okay, I'll give another example for what else is possible too, like from a different point of view, like, or different life. My kids. So I've got 3 kids, and we can definitely hit some spots where it looks like we're about to get in a tangle.
Mm-hmm.
Learning how to ask like my kids a question when they're being confrontational with me, or maybe I am with them, to just
Yeah.
say, hey, well, what else could be possible here?
Mm-hmm.
Like little stuff. You can really start to shift your life a lot, and like for me, reduce a lot of stress in my life. Like last night, I really wanted to be done parenting. My 8-year-old wasn't done with her day, so I was trying to like make her be done with her day. It wasn't really working, so I was like, what else is possible? And she was like, well, I could shut my door and read my book and be done and not even tell you when I go to bed. And I was like, great. So it worked out for great. And so I said, and if you're really tired in the morning, that's your deal. And she was like, yeah, cool.
What time did she go to bed? I bet once you stopped trying to get her to go to bed and you just let her do whatever she wanted to do, she was like, and like passed out.
I'm sure. We didn't even talk about it because you know what? I didn't care. I just wanted to be done. I was done. So
I'm going to stop worrying about you being tired.
Yeah. So what else is possible?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing how much life comes. I just taught a class up in Telluride, and this woman told me that she wasn't going to be able to come to the level 1 class because she really wanted to celebrate the birthday of this little boy that she babysat for. Mm. So I said, cool, if you want both, then like put them both on the table and then ask the universe what else is possible. Like, I want the class, I'm having the birthday. And she ended up coming to level 1, and when she told the mom that she wasn't going to be able to be there for the birthday party, the mom said, well, I think my son would much rather go out to dinner with you by himself anyway, so why don't I send you guys out to dinner? Mm-hmm. So it's possible. when you ask what else is possible, you can like have it all.
Yeah, every time I ask what else is possible, it's like something that like I couldn't even. I'm like, wow, I could have never cognitively thought that was going to be possible. It's like, really, that actually exists? No, it didn't until now, actually, because you asked the question and you allowed it to happen. Now, I will say it's like this is getting me to remind, like I kind of forget all the things that have changed in my life and not going beyond what else is possible. Like my whole body used to hurt. My back, my knees, whatever. It was from football, and snowboarding, and lifting manhole covers in the middle of the street for an entire summer long, and just doing all that kind of backbreaking work and mountain biking, and maybe I already said that one, but all sorts of things to like push my body. All those pains are, for the most part, gone, and if they peak up for a little bit, basically just through asking questions, I can get rid of it. The questions that I've learned through Access Consciousness. However, you don't get them tonight. And you're saying, oh, that's not possible, Connor. I'm like, well, good luck. You have back surgery. It's really expensive. Or, do something else. Maybe try something else. Give something else a chance. Or just, I guess I kind of always knew I had the power to change things.
I think we probably all know that. If we really, really tell the truth, you've all created magic tricks. Like I know it, right?
Yeah.
Even if you just made that ice cream appear in the freezer, or you found that penny on the ground, or you made someone say something that you were thinking. We've all played with magic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the thing for me with Access that's been so amazing, it's just reminded me to really actually use it. Not just have a little like woo every once in a while, but to actually acknowledge that I've created my life and that I could really keep using that life to create more and more and more and more and have more and more fun.
Yeah. So does that lead into our next tool?
Yeah.
I don't remember what the next tool is. It just feels like it leads into
Okay, I'll tell you. So when
I can't remember shit.
So I had this one of my little conundrums the other day was that my car died, And I was like, all right. I set myself up all right, so it didn't have to be a crisis or anything, but I really wanted to choose the next situation for my car. So I kept asking, well, what is it that I really want to create here? And I kept bouncing against this like foggy field of something something that was confusing me, because every time I would try to get into like, well, what's possible here that I've never considered before, I kept getting this heavy like, well, you got to do the responsible thing, or make sure you get it right, Kate. Like I can't even tell you, but it just kept bouncing up against it. And what came up for me was like, that's not even mine. There's so much energy came up around the right thing to do, around getting a car, that I had to ask the question, who does that even belong to? Whose energy is coming into my existence every time in my head? It was like that. I would be all kind of happy and exploring and be like, punk. Oh man, I can't get it right. I'm gonna mess it up. Man, I don't know how to do this. I better research, all this stuff. And I had to ask this question. That's been an awesome access tool for me, which is, who does this even actually belong to? Who does this actually even belong to? My dad. Awesome. That belonged to my dad. And that probably really worked for my dad, maybe. So I got to return that to my dad and start asking a question from who I truly be. How do you play with who does this belong to?
Well, I kind of first want to ask you, like, you say, who does this belong to?
Yeah.
Maybe that's, yeah. I'll talk about how I play with it. So how I actually played with it for a long time before I really even like really got it. Like I played with it because I was like, fine, I'll do who does it belong to, because what does it take? All I got to do is ask, who does it belong to? And I'm like, I don't really believe this shit. Really, I can read people's minds, or like I bought some point of view from somebody else. I'm like, whatever. I owe Gary $1 because I'm like, this is bullshit. But I'm gonna try it because all it takes is just to ask the question, who does this belong to? And then one day, it was like I was literally driving down the road, and some car comes flying up by me and honks, and I was like, motherfucker, and I like had a racist comment go up in my head, and I was like, that was not mine. And it was like this total awareness. I'm like, that was not mine, because I didn't even see who was driving the car, so I have no idea what. It was probably me. Like I have no idea who's driving the car or what, and I don't ever really have those sort of thoughts go through my head. So it was like that was actually a moment after asking who does this belong to, a lot kind of happened, and then I was like, huh, okay, interesting. So now I've realized over time that 98% of the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that go through our heads aren't actually ours. Whether it's something I've bought from somebody, something I just took on from somebody, I guess it's kind of the same thing. Whether you bought from somebody or you're literally picking up out of their head, and it's like because they're next to you, which is weird. I know that's weird to think about, but I keep getting just I don't know what the word is, but it's just like all the time. I'm like, wow, that's not mine. Although that's not a good question. You might want to ask when you've got something going on in your head, whether it's good too. Actually, when you get down to the point you are even asking, man, I feel so amazing today, and you ask, well, who does that belong to? Now you know you're really using the tools. You're really going to get a little wild, because at first you're like, oh, I feel shitty. Who does this belong to? 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 And again, just like what else is possible, you don't want to look for an answer. Now, if one pops up, like Kate said, and you're like, my dad, holy crap. And then you're like, wow, now I feel way lighter, and I'm not in the muck anymore, or whatever it was that I felt like I was in. And now, even to me, actually, if you're someone sitting here watching this and you're going, "That's bullshit," I don't have like thoughts and feelings and emotions of other people running through my head. and it's my dad's or something, and I'm like, fine, if you don't think you think it's total bullshit that you can actually, read minds almost, fine, I don't care. But, that's probably a really good reason to not say, who does this belong to? Because it's really difficult. It's kind of like, lifting an elephant off the ground. So don't do it. It's hard, and it's totally not going to work. Because, if you tried it and it worked, and it was really effing easy, that would suck. That would just, that would just ruin your day now, wouldn't it?
If you think about it, though, you don't take it on if it's not yours. But I'm in this kid reality, and I watch like all day long my kids being told what's true for them and not true for them at school. Like, now you have to go to the bathroom. Now you're hungry. Now you should sit down. Now you should do this. Like, they're pretty much, and they go to pretty cool schools, so this isn't even like hardcore, but it's just so built in, so many different things that we maybe never stop to really question. Do I even want to eat at 12 o'clock? I don't know. Or did somebody tell me for so long that eating at 12 o'clock is what you do? Or do I want to have a 401k? Or am I just following some kind of routine path of structure and information? So just consider, because I know some of you were a little bit of a rebel maybe in school, or a little bit curious in your Sunday school, or at your job maybe, or all kinds of circumstances where someone else is telling you what to do. Just consider that you may have a few thoughts, feelings, and emotions that don't even make any sense to you.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. It makes me think of like at school, because everybody's telling you these things to do and everything, and the eating thing at noon, is it because someone told me, or is it because everyone else is hungry at noon? And maybe everybody else is hungry at noon because for about, I shouldn't even say thousands of years, I'm sure, it depends on if you're in America or if you're down in Mexico, like they eat 2 lunches, or if you're in Spain, they don't even eat dinner until way late at night, and so it depends on where you're at, but like, is it because everybody's been telling you for a long time you're supposed to eat at these times, or is it because everybody's eating at those times so they're actually hungry? I've had, actually one of my sister's friends was worked in a restaurant, and she was just hungry all the time, and she's like, oh, it's because all these people around me are hungry all the time. And now I can say I've recently had someone, say, they did studies that, like, if you put, either I read it, I don't know where I got it, but so you're like, it's bullshit already. But if you put someone next to a whole bunch of people that are like eating like morbid amounts of food, and everybody's like stuffing their face and everything, that person begins to do the exact same thing. Now, you can say, well, Connor, you don't have any actual proof to that, whatever, except for the fact that go get a book called Connected. This is a book I read years back when I was just like, I'd have my Sundays hung over in Boston, walking around the mall, and then I'd see a book, and I'd be like, I kind of want that book. So one day I got Connected because it looked interesting. I only got about halfway through the book just because I was like, okay, I get the point. Everything's connected. It's really interesting. They really have like case study after case study of things that have happened. Most of them I think are in the United States, if I remember correctly, but it's really just like, wow, an eye-opener where these 2 professors, one from Harvard and one from San Diego State University, pulled together all these case studies. Now, they also had their sort of like hypotheses as to why everybody's connected and why, if you get a whole bunch of fireflies together, all their lights blink at the same time, or why you get a bunch of sorority girls together and all of them start having their periods at the same time, and all these things. They have theirs. Mine is more like, who does this belong to?
You're not really a group think kind of dude.
Yeah, you're right about that. I kind of try to, even like in Access, I've noticed myself, it's like people are like, we're doing Access things, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Why not? Well, just because that's what everybody's doing. I pretty much don't like doing what other people are doing. So if Access becomes like the thing, and all of a sudden all the celebrities are doing it because like they're like, this is the best diet I've ever done, and like I'm like the happiest person on the planet, and everybody's doing Access. I'll be like the first one to go, I'm gone. Not really. Not really. That's a joke. Yeah. So who does this belong to? Really, I've watch yourself, because recently I was doing who does this belong to, and then it went from who does this belong to into this isn't mine, and that didn't do shit. So really what we're getting at here too is the power of the question. Who does this belong to? What else is possible? Questions open up possibilities, and answers just come to conclusions, and conclusions, well, they really just kind of have one way that they can go. So you don't have, it's like being on a railroad track or on a motocross bike in the middle of the desert, and you can go wherever the heck you want, or a railroad track.
Cool. So live as a question, and consider asking a question maybe in a place that you've already created a conclusion that there's just no way that could ever change. There's just no possibilities of all the ways that I created a possibility of there's no way I could possibly get that car, because that wasn't going to happen for me in that responsible way that I was doing. As soon as I cleared out who does this belong to, and then kept asking my questions, guess what? Like a whole nother creative possibility came into my awareness that I did not ever even consider, would not have ever considered. So would you be willing to out-create your life in an area that you've considered totally stuck, totally impossible, and just how it is? Anywhere you're saying, like, this is just the way it is, just check out any of those areas, and you might have a few that just popped up going, oh, well, this is just the way it is. And I'm going to say, great, then hang with it if it's working for you. If it's not working for you, what else is possible?
Yeah. And
not what else can you figure out. I just want to clear out that that's not what we're working with. It's
like, that's a great way to put it, is like for the longest time I didn't get the whole light and heavy thing in Access. People were like, choose what's light and don't go with what's heavy. But when you said, well, this is just the way it is, I was like,
it's like Eeyore.
Yeah, I think my blood pressure just went up. Shit. Like, this is just the way it is. Like, really? And I'm not going to lie, I'm an engineer. For crying out loud. I'm like, engineer, like, this is the way it is. I can't change it. That's how I was forever, it seemed like. In that it was just like, I was more along the lines of, like, the way things are the way they are, they can't change, so I got to go around them or something like that, which isn't a bad way either. But actually, I like that, if nobody knows, Mr. Ricky Williams, amazing running back for the Texas Longhorns, and then a lot of professional football teams, Heisman Trophy winner. He was. It's just giving me the picture of it. He ran in the question. It was, and that's going to be the best running backs in football. If you're a sports person, some more, you're going to be either in the question as to, do I run this guy over? Do I change what's here? Like, this is the way it is. I've got a giant linebacker in front of me. Do I either run through him or do I go around him? And what else is possible? Or you go that way, or you go that way. Or the guy slips and falls on his ass and then you just jump over him. Or you just jump over him altogether. So, like, that's, like, imagine if you did that with your life, right? If you're a football fan or a player, I didn't realize I was going to go into so many sports, but that's just what's happening right now, is that, look at the best players. They're not the ones in conclusion. You can't be, if you're going to play well. So one of my favorite things too about Access is how much the questions have made me better at work. And I say better as far as more effective, like, and I have more fun at work, at any sport I play, whether it's snowboarding, skydiving, football. Well, not that I play that anymore, but soccer, golf. Well, I still have difficulty with golf. That goes way too slow. I have a difficult time saying, who does this belong to in my backswing, and I want to kill the ball. So, yeah, kind of lost where I was going with that, but went off on a big tangent. So that's right. I was engineer, totally didn't think I could change anything, so I'd always try and find a way around it. Again, nothing wrong with it. However, how many more possibilities open up when I go, oh my God, I can change it. Or maybe you can't, and then you go around it.
Yeah, I hear you. And I love playing with these tools in the creation of life, just coming into, like, he's giving these awesome examples in the sports realm, but like also just looking at, okay, let's just pull in some other possibilities of life. Like, I brought in the kids, I'll bring in my divorce. I went through a divorce, and a lot of people hit a lot of other people's thoughts. There's so many people's thoughts that have opinions and judgments about divorce and how you should handle it and how you shouldn't handle it, and clearing out and be willing to ask a brand new possibility to show up for you, because most of what has been shown is possible in the path of divorce was completely uninteresting to me. And so asking what else is possible there has created some huge creative and easeful situations, and ones that I know people have had tons of judgments about what I've done, but that's totally fine for me because it kept creating a lot of ease in my life. It kept creating like new pathways. I felt like a river just flowing through, and then when there was going to be like a new diversion and a different way to go that was going to be ease. That's what I was interested in. How can I create the most ease possible in this situation, because I could tell it was going to take me years and years and years that I didn't want to spend to hack out the way that anybody was telling me. So whatever you've got in your life, whether it's should I go through this linebacker, or should I fight this lawyer, or should I, fight with my boss, or whatever, like anywhere you're considering like pushing energy, like ask a question.
I like how you're saying that, like, should I fight the lawyer or go through the linebacker? Because you're like, well, that's a 150-pound linebacker. Yeah, I'll just fight it's a 150-pound lawyer. I'll fight him. I'm going to win this one. But then you run into, like, right behind him is like a 350-pound lawyer, and you're like, ooh, yeah, that one I'll just go around.
And I know in these life circumstances, you guys have seen either yourself or you've seen someone else spend their entire, like 90% of their time focusing on whatever you've considered is your linebacker, your divorce, your issue, oh my God, this can never change. You bang your head against it all the time, way more than you probably want to admit to yourself.
Yeah.
So who does it belong to, and what else is possible there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What else is possible? All the time. What else is possible? Wake up if you can. I don't care if you watch this video now, later, 100 years from now. Maybe it's getting broadcasted off into the planets somewhere, and a million light years from now, some other civilization on the other side of the universe is at the exact same stage we are in, and they're using radio waves, and they stumble upon this, and then I know that was weird, and they go, "Oh my God!"
You guys got it. He's weird, right? You got it. Right?
Ask what else is possible. Like 3 times in the morning, 10 times, I don't care. Ask it a whole bunch until you forget to ask it. But ask what else is possible in the morning, like every day, and just see what happens. See if anything weird changes in your life, or if it gets better, or if it just, like, I don't know, worst case scenario, maybe your girlfriend starts giving you blowjobs in the morning. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
What else is possible? What else is possible?
What else is possible? I want one of those, a girlfriend that does that in the morning. Not every morning, though. I'd get tired of it. No, I wouldn't. Well, I don't know.
What else is possible? Don't figure it out. He's using his mind. Did you guys see that? He went right into the question and then right into his mind to figure out if it was a good or bad thing. Forget about it.
No kidding.
What's possible?
Yep. See, shooting free throws still doesn't mean I'm perfect, if there is such a thing. Although perfect is a really good question, isn't it?
Although I would say that's a super fun thing about Access that I love.
Yeah.
That I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to have every answer. It's not even about the answers. Answers are dead. Do you guys get that? If you've considered something and you know it and you have an answer, it's over. The energy's over. Like there's nowhere to go from there. If you ask a question, it's alive. It's in motion, it's in action, it's generating, it's creating. If you ask the massive entrepreneurs of this reality, the people that are out there creating things that have never happened before, they ask questions all the time. They're not necessarily access people, but I'm acknowledging, like he's said it into the sports world, but it's true, like into the business world or into these massive creative worlds, people who are interested in what hasn't occurred yet. So if you're interested in your life at all, in something that has not occurred in your life yet, ask a question. That's the only place where the living energy of what's possible and what's next or what's creative can come from. You would not ask your computer to paint a painting for you. I doubt.
Yeah, I mean, great point, because it's like, look at where, I mean, how many times in your life you're like, this is what I'm going to do and this is what I want to do, and it actually showed up the way you thought it was going to. This is a lovely quote from Dr. Dane here is, you know, what else is possible? Ask the question. And then if you have something in your life and you're like, this is what I want, and you ask what else is possible, how, you know, what else is possible that I haven't considered yet, or what else is possible with that, and you don't try and think about it. I mean, it's okay if your mind does ramble and it goes, oh, and you're like, that's how I'm going to get there. Still just ask the question. It's okay. I've had times where I'm like, this is how I'm going to get there. But I'm like, ask the question. Still just ask the question. Even though I already thought of how I'm going to get there, even though I've thought of like 10 different ways as how I can possibly get there, ask the question, and then it still shows up some other way that you never thought was even possible. So that's what's actually the most fun. It's
Yeah.
really, yeah, really just the journey of life and everything. I mean, do you ever go mountain biking, or do you ever go riding a bike or go for a walk because you're going there to get somewhere? Or do you go, I mean, sometimes you do. Sometimes you have to go to work, I guess. But are you doing it all just to get to a certain place? Like, are we living just to die? Ooh, sorry about that one. What else is possible with that? Who does that belong to?
Well, how much of your money are you creating? Because you want to save up for
Everything
when
that
you're
way.
old and decrepit and you can't do anything anymore and you're about to die. Like,
Yeah.
how much fun is that to create money for? Not so much.
Yeah. I kind of want to say the one thing I said, where I just said, is everybody just, are we all just living just to die? Everything that brought up, can we destroy and uncreate it, please?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. That feels better.
Way to bring up the clearing statement with 6 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Figured
Cool.
we'd do it at some point in time. So if you guys don't know what the heck that was, that is the clearing statement, the Access Consciousness clearing statement. Go to www.clearingstatement.com and check
And
it.
don't use it.
Don't use it.
Yeah,
No,
don't use it.
it doesn't work.
So if you're interested in creating your life to live, and you're interested in a little bit of an adventure in your life, the adventure of consciousness, the adventure of living, the adventure of possibilities, of creating more ease and joy and magic than you've ever created before. And if your mind doesn't believe me, don't worry about it. Ask some questions and get all the stuff that doesn't belong to you out of your reality, because you can't really do anything with stuff that doesn't belong to you. If it's someone else's, it's just going to sit there. If it's yours, you can ask a question about it. So who does this belong to? What else is possible? And consider your life an adventure, and that you deserve a life of magic and abundance.
I'm speechless.
He's speechless. Look at him.
I
He's
think
thinking.
that's just far too good of a conclusion to the show. I'm ending there. I think that was wonderful. And if we got any viewers that would like some questions, pop them up now, because that was just absolutely gorgeous. Wonderful, Kate. Great finish. All right, I'm gonna end her.
All right, we're going to end her, but there's so much more. So we're going to play around with you more on these Google Hangouts. We've got Foundation and Level 1 coming up here in the Boulder, Denver area, October 8th through the 12th. Check out www.clearingstatement.com. Anything else about Access Consciousness? If you thought we were weird and wacky, you are right. And we are going to receive that and
Yeah,
love it.
'cause being normal is so much fun.
Yeah.
Being normal and like popular and stuff.
Yeah, get you far. All
Yeah.
right. Create something you've never been willing to create before. Out-create your own lives and go off and live it. See ya.